Whoa, whoa. Two cups of coffee sit side by side, steam rising like secrets we can't hide. The sun crawls in, paints gold on the wall. A puff of smoke, a sigh so deep, dreams awake while the world's asleep. Two cups of coffee, the sun and a puff. Is this morning enough? Is this morning enough? Sip
Yeah.
let it linger, don't rush the hush. Two cups of
Two
coffee,
cups of coffee.
sun and a puff.
All right, folks, what's going on here? I'm in the middle of watching a video from Peak Prosperity. He's doing an interview with Simon Dixon. And I just want to share a little part of this interview that is related to the title of this video. Yes, it's clickbait for you, but this is important matters because maybe, just maybe, what we think is going on in the Middle East is not the case. So, just trying to give another perspective. This has been a topic of debate at the Gen X Cafe. So without further ado, I'm going to take about a 10-minute excerpt because, again, I'm in the middle of watching this, and I will leave a link if you want to watch the whole thing. It's about 2 hours, but Simon Dixon is an interesting character. Individual? I don't want to say character. You be the judge, all right? That's all I can say.
Maybe it gets overplayed a lot, but for some reason, Rome fell, right? And one of the factors that's slated often is, well, they did a little military overreach, right? They just overspent. Plus, they had bad leaders and corrupt politicians. Usual, let's say, symphony of things that tend to show up towards the end of empire. I think it's just a normal part of the metronome of humanity. But the NDAA, Trump is proposing, and it looks like it's getting seriously considered, to increase our military expenditures from already punishing $900 billion to $1.5 trillion per year, with, of course, Section 219 welding us into Israel, who will just keep us perpetually. They're so good at starting wars. They'll get us. Trust me, we're in a forever war. Those two things happen in a very, very expensive forever war. This sounds like a recipe for breaking the bank. And again, I look at this as if I wanted to intentionally destroy my country, I would be doing that exactly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, but I don't think Israel has the ability to hinge a forever war anymore. But
Hello, check. So sorry about that. Yeah, technical difficulties. All right, don't worry. I'm not going to allow for you to miss anything. So I have rewound it a little bit. So here we go. Yeah, I'm on my laptop, so that's the case here. So bear with me.
forever war anymore because China's risen. And China's the most important country in the region. And do you think China's okay with Israel being a US military proxy to destroy the region and fuel the US stock market forever war? I don't think so. And so Israel
That's
will be
hopeful.
regime changed. Yeah. I mean, Israel is just a mick node. Their job is to create more profits for the US military. The Israeli stock market is a military stock market, the US, the UK, the German, and the French. And their job is to facilitate the money laundering. Now, they represent the MiG faction of power, which is aligned with the deep state, which is the MI6 CIA Mossad faction. But financial, what's the competing power around there is the financial power. The financial power are aligned with the Gulf countries. Every single deal that the FIC does is with the Gulf sovereign wealth funds. Now, Saudi has said until there is a Palestinian state, there'll be no normalization in the region. China has said Iran and Saudi have normalized. Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, and likely funded by Saudi will probably have their new defense pact. But the most important part of this is that China is creating new rails across the region with UAE, with Saudi, with Iran, with the GCC, with the BRICS corridors. So US doesn't dominate the game anymore. And so US is, I believe, managing its exit. And Israel will probably just be privatized like America was. And in fact, that's happening. The number of IPOs that are happening in Israel this year and the stock market in Israel is at record highs. More and more of the national assets are being privatized, and UAE and India are buying them.
Well, it's fascinating to see how many world leaders showed up to Khomeini's morning processions there in Tehran. It was quite surprising to me, including Saudi. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Again, when you're managing such a big change in the world, regional. So if the goal is to turn Iran into Syria, then I think things would be done differently. The goal, I think, is to sustain the IRGC, take out those, which I think has already happened, that were not on board with China's vision and the normalization between Iran and Saudi Arabia, but end up with the same people that were negotiating, before the war, are the same people negotiating during the war, and will be the same people negotiating after the war, and none of them died. The only ones that died will be on board with such a new regional stability vision. And what I see across the region is the replacement of proxies with state armies. You saw that in Yemen, when the Houthis signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia. Yes, we get bounded escalation, but directionally, Iran allowed Houthis to continue to sign an agreement, and that will probably go into a political process to have Houthis integrated into the state political process and army. We saw the same in Syria. We saw a tit for tat between Saudi and UAE. I call good cop, bad cop. So at the same time as Saudi getting dominance and signing agree with the Houthis over Yemen, we saw UAE get jurisdiction over their ports in Somaliland. Now, everyone was reporting it as Israel, but it's UAE that owns those ports, not Israel. And Israel, recognized Somaliland, which was the resolution between Turkey's strategic assets in Somalia and UAE's strategic ports. So why are we getting all of these different port assets being resolved one by one? And everyone's just focusing on Israel's winning the game, Israel controls America, Israel's Greater Israel project. I think they want you to believe that because Israel's at its weakest moment right now. And we're also starting to see that, the leftover from the agreement was Lebanon. Hezbollah, is being allowed to go at it with Israel, which is weakening each other. So you're getting a weaker Israel on the ground invasions and a weaker Hezbollah from the air bombardments. Sadly, civilians need to die in that process because Israel always goes for civilian targets. But that's what they do when they're trying to spark a reaction. But now you get an agreement between Israel and the Lebanese government. The Lebanese government is a proxy for American interests. Hezbollah has always been supported by Iran. And then you have the Israeli parts that they've now occupied and they'll be using for leverage in whatever the new order looks like at the end of it. And so then you have one of the biggest, most impacted was Iraq. So to me, when I look around the map, I see long-term forever war issues being resolved. And I see everyone deciding who's going to control what ports. And now with whatever comes out of the Strait of Hormuz will set the order for the region. I'm very positive amongst the carnage that this is the end of the US forever war. And it's because Israel, who is a proxy for the US military, while people might try to say it's Israel, Israel's a proxy as well. They have their own lobby process. They have their own power structure. If you think Netanyahu's in charge of the world, he works for his power, which is the military lobbies. That's his stock market as well. And so these military nodes are saying, well, the Middle East was really profitable for us for a long time. If we're moving to regional stability and rebuild, we want as much of that as possible. But you need to give us a new war zone. So make sure you don't end Europe. Make sure you escalate in Central and South America. And make sure you create civil unrest because we need to make up for lost profits if we're leaving here. We're going to get some defense agreements, but it looks like China and Russia might be taking care of that, and Turkey and Egypt and various other things. So, yeah, to me, I'm very positive about where this is going. This is the dismantlement of Israel as a MIC node in the region. And it looks like they're controlling the game, but that's just a propaganda that they need you to believe. Because the Epstein blackmail networks were private corporate power blackmail networks. And Mossad and Israel was just a node to create plausible deniability. I mean, that if you think that Israel, America doing a genocide is not in line with how it's always acted, the British Empire and American Empire have done them, but they do them via proxies. So Israel is a perfect representation of how the British and American Empire have always acted. This isn't like, you don't need to blackmail American private corporate interest and the MIC to profit from war. This is what props up its stock market. This is what rolls over its debt. That's not something you need to blackmail. That's something that already functions. But it's a nice, plausible deniability story if you get all the Americans to believe we wouldn't do this. This isn't us, it's them. And now we're going to break free from them. And none of this would have ever happened if it wasn't for them. It's a nice story if you can manage it that way.
So I will stop it there, try to keep this short. You be the judge. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. And if you want to see more of these kind of clips that I go through, because I'm going to watch the rest of the interview and maybe come back with some other clips for you. I'll try to keep it within 10, 15 minutes, get it digestible. There's a lot here. It's a different perspective that perhaps we should look at. All right. Don't believe everything you hear. And I just want to quickly say hello to the freak. Frank, what's going on? Sammy, how you all doing? All right, I'm going to end it here. I'm not going to address any questions there. Oh, the freak, I just wanted to say once again, thanks for coming in the room yesterday. I enjoyed the conversation, and I hope to have another one real soon. All right, so, all right, maybe we'll talk to you later, guys. All right, have a good one.